It's good. Okay, the first day, we are starting recording for the first day of leadership, 36, 65. Which semester are you in? First year, second year, third year, fourth year?
And third year.
Oh,
Yeah.
you passed it half of the way and you want
Yeah, halfway, yeah.
Okay, one of the greatest, I think, one of the greatest subjects you should learn as a future managers, as the future leaders in the organization, in the businesses, in the corporations, is leadership. How do you think about the leadership? What is the difference between leadership and management?
I think leadership is obviously, it's important. It's about sort of controlling. It's being, I don't know, being a leader, leading by example.
Oh.
Leading by example, yeah.
Do you think leadership is more important than management or not? Management is important.
I think they are obviously different. I think you need both. I think you need both to be a successful leader. You need to be able to manage. But nah, they're very different, I'd say.
So one of the greatest differences between management and leadership is about the procedure and the timeline.
Okay, yeah.
We have three words here: boss. Hi, Nicholas, welcome. We have three words here: boss, manager, and leader. Nicholas, how do you think about the differences between managers and leaders? We were talking about it with Brandon. Is there any difference between manager and leaders? We don't have your voice. You are not muted, but we don't have your voice. I think there's a problem with your,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Good. Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying I definitely think there's a difference. Sure. Wait, this is not... Yeah, I think there's a difference between leadership and management. The difference being, as a leader, when you're managing people, it's kind of like it's your job. You know what you're doing. Whereas you could be a leader, not knowing you're a leader, just by leading by example. You're unaware of that you. It's something, I think, you know that phrase. It's a bit like vague, but you are a born leader, in my opinion. You could be, because you could lead without even knowing that you're setting an example and a path for others. Whereas managing is more of delegating, putting people in certain positions, giving orders. It's like a job in a way. I mean, it's not, they do coexist in one another. Like you need to have some sort of leadership skills to manage, but there are two different. I think they are different in a way, if that makes sense.
One of the greatest. Thank you for answering. One of the greatest differences between management and leadership is about timeline. Yeah. Management is focused on present moment, but leaders are future oriented. Management is about improving and advancing present situation, while leadership is about creating new situations in the future. Don't forget it. Leaders are future oriented. And because of that, we have a good proverb about the leaders. Said, leaders are readers. What does it mean? Why leaders are readers? It says leaders are readers. They read a lot of books. Why?
Brandon, you can go first.
I'm not too sure.
Yes. Because of when you want to talk about and think about the future, as you know, today, this age, for example, about 400 years ago, it was the age of agriculture. And after that, it was the age of industry. And after that, it became a age of science, age of economy. And now we are at the age of what is the PowerPoint? What is the best point to have a good power between other people? What is your point now in 21st century? It is the age of information. The major differences between people is about having valid, not every type of information, valid information. Because we have a lot of information which are fake, which is called data pollution. Data pollution is about that you see, you can find a lot of pollutions in the data you find in, for example, internet, in Google. So the data pollution is about fake pollutions, not wrong pollutions. Because of that, for example, CalMU has provided you the system of learn, LIRN. Why? Because through learn, you can have access to the major academic valid databases. It is very important. And if you are not a student, you cannot access it free. You should pay money. University has paid money for you. Why? Because as a student, you should know the valid information, data. Which information is valid? Research, journal articles, academic research, academic databases. These are valid. So at the age of informations, leaders are readers. They should know about the future of the world, about the economy, and have a good forecasting. We have a very good major field in the university, so-called future study. Future study is a new branch of science in the academy, in the universities in America especially, that they talk and they think and they analysis by mathematics about the future. What is, for example, the future approach of management? Just now, after and during COVID-19, we have a lot of discussions about the world and economic world and business world after COVID-19. For example, as the thinkers about the management, as the thinkers about the leaderships, how do you think about the great changes in managerial procedures, managerial methods, or leadership thinking, or leadership styles after COVID-19? Do you think we need some new leadership style, management style, or no? The old styles are good for after COVID-19. How do you think?
I think it depends. Are you talking about in the US specifically, or?
Yeah, US specific. Yeah, US.
I'm not. I'm South African. I'm not too, but I can give my opinion.
Not a specific US, a specific, for example, California even.
I'm not too sure about how it works in California, but in my opinion, in the US, in regards to the whole COVID-19 case, for most parts, they looked like they had everything under control in terms of how to respond and how to react if we're going to compare to other countries. I can use my country as an example. We weren't ready for COVID. This is South Africa. So that speaks obviously volumes for the leadership. And we should have been ready because it happened everywhere else and it came to Africa later. So we should have been, but we weren't. And countries like the US obviously were ready. So it speaks volume about their leadership and how they will be able to. We even look at sports, we still got sports from the US. Everywhere else in the world it looks like they're catching the second wave. I haven't heard anything from the US. So it does speak volumes about leadership there and management there. I can't be very specific about it because I'm not a political guy, but I think the leadership in the US is well off.
Do you consider good leadership during COVID-19 for US or not? Federal leadership, state leadership, do you think it is useful and it is successful or not? It is not. It is called social investment. Social investment is a part of society, social culture that before some crisis, the governments, the people, the culture, the religion has invested on that part of culture. For example, we have a good social culture, social investment on freedom in US. Freedom of speech, freedom of idea, freedom of everything, especially in California. It is social investment of California community. It is about freedom. But in confrontation and facing with crisis like COVID-19, sometimes you see that some countries, some good countries, some developed countries like US doesn't have any good social investment because the mind of people is not ready for facing some huge crisis like, for example, COVID-19. They don't obey the scientists' orders, the federal orders, and they think, no, it is not important. And after that, increasing the rate of COVID-19, increasing. After that, a pandemic become a crisis, a national crisis. It is called social investment. I think after COVID-19, a lot of politicians, a lot of thinkers, about the social thinkers in USA, especially in USA, will work on the social investment on healthy beliefs. A lot of people in America, as you know, obesity, fatty people are the major part of fatty people all around the world live in the America. Why? Because at first, food is very cheap, not high quality food, but food is very cheap. Secondly, exercise is not so social investment. You don't look at your generation. Your generation is very good. But all generations doesn't have very good habits of daily exercise, for example. And after 20 years, federal government of US think that, wow, in addition to have a lot of old people, we have a lot of old people with a lot of bad habits of eating. So they are working about 10 years. It is about 10 years that the federal government is working on the habitual eating behaviors. Why? To change from low quality and the high volume of food to switch to high quality and lower volume of food. It is creating social investment, for example, on eating behaviors. I think the major role of leadership will become very, very important, more important than management. Why? Because we need some leaders to think and to predict and to study future states of every aspect of human life, especially in social life, and programming and targeting and strategic thinking about the future. You as the future generation of leaders should have a good concentration on these issues because I think we will face a lot of great and basic and crucial changing in people lifestyle during the next 10 years. And also it is a good opportunity for new thinkers, for people who has an open-minded, it is very good. But people with old thinking methods, no, they will go out of the market of thinking and market of management. Okay, let me share with you the PowerPoint. Do you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
In this session, we will talk about two first chapters of your book. This is a very good book about it. And I hope after studying and after taking this course and after ending this course, you will have a good knowledge about the basic principles of leadership in your daily life. Leadership is one of the things that you should choose in your daily life because you are facing with every aspect of your daily life and about the leadership. When you will find that you have learned something so good, every aspect of learning, leadership learning, management learning, business learning, psychology learning, and other things, when you can find this type of learning in your daily life, except of that, you cannot know that, yes, I have learned something so good. Because of that, you should use your learning about the leadership styles and leadership knowledge in your daily life. It is very good option that everybody for example, after 4 years and after ending your undergraduation course, everybody says, yes, yes, Brandon may be a manager, or Nicholas may be an undergraduate of management or business. It should be shown in your daily behaviors. One of the aspects that you can show that, yes, I'm a manager, yes, I'm a leader, yes, I have undergraduated from a school about the management and business. It is about leadership styles, because you can use it in every aspect of your daily life, with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your society, with your community. Definition and significance of leadership. Who is a leader? A leader is any person who influences individuals and groups within an organization, helps them in the establishment of goals, and guide them to achievement of those goals, thereby allowing them to be effective. So, what are the keywords in this definition of leadership? Say me about the keywords in this definition. 4 keywords at least.
Obviously, the biggest word, influence,
Mhm.
organization,
Yes.
um, establish goals,
Goals.
uh,
Yes. Thank
establish
you.
goals,
Other
and
things.
I beg your pardon?
What are other things? Other words?
So
Organization,
far,
influences, goals, and
Achievement.
achievements, maybe.
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. We
I'd
will
say
talk
those.
largely about the goals, but at the first step, do you know anything about the SMART goals or not?
Smart
What
goals.
are, yes, it is a specific technical phrase. SMART goals are goals which are SMART, for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. This is a SMART goal. A goal with these 5 features is a SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. For example, in some approaches to goal setting, this is one of the criteria: which goal is good or bad, which goal is smart or not smart, which goal is effective or not effective. So, in this definition of leadership, you can find 2 major functions. 1, influencing; 2, effectiveness. The basic part of leadership is influencing. The final outcome of leadership is to create effectiveness. Leadership begins with influencing. For example, one of the good words we can use in Instagram these days, it is the role of influencer. Influencer has a lot of crowd, a lot of people, a lot of followers in his or her page, for example. And after that, for example, for a movement, he or she can use these followers and influence on their lives, influence on their thinking, influence on their lifestyles and other parts. Why? To become more effective in their field that he or she is influencing their followers. So leadership begins with influencing and ending with creating productivity, effectiveness. What are the major elements? Goal setting, guiding, and achievement. Very, very simple model of how a leader works. Very simple. 5 stage: influencing, goal setting, guiding, achievement, effectiveness, or productivity. Very simple. In organizations, in society, in departments, in teams, in your family, in every aspect that we are more than 2 people. We need a leader. Now, because you are studying the business world, we can use it in organizations. One of the greatest advice that I can offer you is for better learning. Every time you are reading or learning something, find the keywords, find the brilliant words. It is very important. And put them in your memory. It is very important. Other words are extra. It is about description, explanation, and other things. Okay. The second part is key elements of leadership: group phenomenon, goal-oriented, existential of hierarchy. It is very clear, very obvious that leadership is for more than one people, one man, one woman, one person, especially more than two. Because when you are two persons, you don't need leader, you need only manager, you need only dominant people. Well, sometimes friendly. It is not about the leadership. It is a group phenomenon. No leaders without followers. Boss has members. Boss is for a tribe. Chef is for a tribe. Tribe has members, Indians. One of the good proverbs in the US managers say, so many chiefs, no Indian. So many chiefs, no Indian. Sometimes you see in an organization, in your family, in your community, that everybody is a boss. Nobody wants to have provided any service. Second part, after boss, after chef is manager. Manager is for organization. Organization has co-workers. But leadership is for movement, for a school of thought. Leaders has followers. Boss and members, managers and co-workers, and leaders and followers. Boss at the back of tribe and said, go forward, I will support you. Manager it at the side of his or her co-worker, let's go. And leader is in front line and said, follow me. So leaders are alone. Leaders are always alone. Like winners. Winners stand alone. It's a title of a book. Winners stand alone, or winner stands alone. Why? Like eagle soaring high at the heights. Yes, it is very good. It is private, but there is no crowd in the heights. So eagles are alone, but pigeons are not alone, but they cannot go soaring high. Because of that, some features, character features needed for being a leader. One of the things that leader can have is tolerating isolation, tolerating loneliness, tolerating to be specific. Second part is goal-oriented at first. Leadership, the keyword is group. The second part, second sentence is the keyword is goal. We have followers to achieve a goal. Leaders guide and influence others toward a goal. An existence of hierarchy within the group. It is hierarchy. We have two keywords here: group, goal, hierarchy. The leader recognized as such, that who is leader, who is follower, who is general manager, who is, for example, mid-level manager, who is simple worker, employee, and other parts in organizations. We talk about the last keyword about leadership. It was effectiveness. We want to define the leadership effectiveness. Leaders are effective when their followers achieve their goals, function well together, and adapt to changing demands of external forces. Adaptation, effectiveness, and good functioning, well functioning. With these items, we can say yes, this leadership style, this leader is effective. This leadership style has effectiveness. achievement, well-functioning, and adaptation. Adaptation is very important in every type of social living. Why? Based upon the Darwinian theory, so-called evolution theory, it is said that survival of fittest, not survival of best, survival of fittest. Who will survive? Who is fitter? In animals, in social, we have a field so-called social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is which group, which minorities, which majorities, and other parts will remain, will survive. Those people, those groups, those communities that are fitter to the changing environment. If you cannot fit yourself with your changing environment, you will die, you will deal it. So it is called survival of fittest, not survival of best. The sentence is talking about this. Adopt the changing demands of external forces. Key elements of effectiveness. The group achieves its goals. It is a key element for every type of effectiveness. For example, we have some goals for the course of leadership 3665. At first, acknowledge the principles of leadership to our students. Second, have a good memory, have a good knowledge at the end of the course. Third, give them some applicable principle to use the leadership styles, the leadership knowledge in their daily occupational, familiar, educational, personal life. For example, these are our goals of course 3665. How can I lead you as an instructor so good, so effective? I will check my goals achievement at the end of the course. After 8 weeks, I will check, and the university will check, and also you will check with your scores, with your grades, with your general knowledge, with your case study, with your weekly quiz, and other parts, for example, in your course has been designed for assessment, data collection about the effectiveness of leadership, of the course of leadership. The group members work well together. We talk about it. Well functioning. It is very important. A good leader is the source of unity between the different aspects and different characters and different personality of group members. A good leader will change the atmosphere of interaction and communication between the group members. It is very, very important. Even in friendship, you can see some of your friends has a good leadership personality. When they are in our community, when they are with us, we have less conflict together, and we have a more friendly atmosphere for interaction with each other. And the group can adapt well to external changes. We talk about it. These are the key elements of effectiveness: achievement, well-functioning, and good adaptation. It's a very basic question. Why do we need leaders? To keep groups orderly. Do you know anything about the entropy principle in physics or not? Entropy.
No, I don't think so.
Entropy, it is a very classical principle of physics science. It says naturally every orderly system will go to be out of order, to have some disorders. Why? Because to have order needs more energy. When it is not on the order, less energy is needed. So everything in the natural procedure go to the damage, will be died, will damage. So you as a human being should create some scaffold for your knowledge, a scaffold for your personality, a scaffold for your body. For example, when you go to regular exercise, it is a scaffold for natural health. Lions don't go to gym. but people, human beings, go to gym. Why? Because they don't have enough natural activity. They should go in the synthetic activity, so-called practice, daily practice or daily exercise, in a synthetic atmosphere, so-called gym. To keep focus on group goals, leaders are our lenses, our focal point, are forcing to create the focal point, the focal goals, the share goals, share meaning between the other group members. To accomplish complex tasks, it is very important. It is something, so it is a role like my role as an instructor. I should check your task as a weekly task and the midterm task, final task, and say, why are you, for example, why don't you so good on time and other things? I'm a leader of this course. I should check it, that every task is accomplished on the time and with a good quality, to help make sense of the world by providing validation. In religion, in political science, in political issues, in spiritual issues, in ethical issues, you can see this feature. Creating meaning, sense making, sense of meaning. Every phrase you want to use, it is about creating meaning or sense giving or sense creation about the world. It is called worldview. Worldview is a part of leadership, is the part of your mind or conceptual framework or theoretical framework or worldview are different words we use for the frame you use to interpret the world around you, which is good, which is bad. It is a science of judgment. Judgment is talking about goods and bads, about the values, about the standards. If you don't have any standard, if you don't have any value, yes, you can have non-judgmental thinking, but you will confuse between your different roles. It is called, at first, role confusion. For example, your role as a student, your role as a boy, your role as a husband, your role as a boyfriend, your role as a co-worker, your role as a leader. All of us have different roles. When we don't have any good worldview, any specific worldview, we cannot adopt, we cannot handle, we cannot harmonize our different roles in society. So we will go to the stage of role confusion, and after that, role conflict. It is very important. A good leader with giving people a good sense of the world, a good meaning of the life, reduces their role conflict. But why? Because different roles, they know they role they should play. It is very important. What is your role as a student? What is your role as a boy? What is role as a son? What is role as a, for example, husband and other social and organizational roles? Because of that, in creating integrity between the worldview of the group members, leaders are very important. They create the meaning for the group members, the meaning of life, the meaning of work, the meaning of love, the meaning of beliefs. More leadership skills, more meaning to create. And as a romantic ideal, sometimes leaders are role play or models for role playing. They are role models. We look at their leaders and we want to be like them. They are our role models. It is a romantic ideal. It is a lot of passion, a lot of love to the leaders. Yes. For example, Brandon, who is your role model in your life? Who do you want to be like?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
For example, in business and management, who is your role model?
Yeah, my granddad.
That's good.
Yeah,
Is he a businessman?
yeah, he's a businessman.
Oh, okay. And Nicholas, what about you? Who is your role model?
Okay.
Also, it can be out of your society or out of your family. It is not necessary to be in your visiting daily. Who is your role model? For example, in business, in management.
Yeah, that's better. Because I think for different things, I have different people that I look up to and want to achieve that. In business, definitely Jeff Bezos.
Oh,
That's someone. That's that's someone I obviously strive. He's such an opportunist, and that's the biggest characteristic I see in myself in him. So yeah, I think he'd be my role model
uh-huh.
in the business management or administration field.
For example, not as a psychologist, but as a successful man, one of my greatest thinking approach to life, thought style, thinking style is Elon Musk. I love him.
So he's South
And
African.
yes, when I read about him, when I study about his personality, his thinking style, I'm psychologist, he is engineer, it's not related together. What I love is mindset, his thinking style. As a thinking style, for example, I love Elon Musk. Every session, one of you should have a good presentation with PowerPoint, about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, each of you. It's every session, one person. Nicholas, for the next session, please prepare yourself for presenting different aspects of Jeff Bezos' life to our class, okay? About 10 minutes with PowerPoint. Prepare your PowerPoint. It's important for me that you know how to work with the PowerPoint. It's very important. It's very regular in the daily life as a manager, as a leader, as a mid-level.
Yes.
You should know how to work with PowerPoint. Please prepare your
Okay.
PowerPoint about 10 minutes to 15 minutes. You will talk about different aspects of mind, different aspects of character. No, we don't need a very historical approach. Also, you can talk about the historical family history or personal history of Jeff Bezos. But it is very important for me to talk about the leadership style and think about it and read about it and study about it. Okay,
Okay.
about 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you.
Uh,
Obstacles to effective leadership. Why all leaders are not successful? Obstacles to effective leadership. At first, environmental uncertainty. One of the greatest aspects every leader should have is uncertainty tolerance, ambiguity tolerance. It is very important. Not only in this time of the COVID-19 as a pandemic and a worldwide crisis. No, in regular times, always we have a lot of ambiguity. We have a lot of uncertainty. So great leaders have a good chance, have a good capacity for tolerating uncertainty. If the environment of the leader doesn't have good capacity, doesn't have good uncertainty tolerance or ambiguity tolerance, it has a lot of pressure on the leadership that yes, we should go out of the uncertain situation and it will destroy the leadership. Organizational rigidity. Flexibility is very important for every type of leadership. It is flexibility. It is not disorder. It is not about not having any order. It is flexibility. In the same spectrum of the authorities of a leader, he or she and his or her organization should have flexibility. Falling back on old ideas and simplistic solutions. Please, please, please avoid the old wrong ways. Why? Because the old wrong ways will create old wrong gains. Avoid the old wrong ways, old wrong solutions. If we cannot change anything, nothing will change. Anthony Robbins.
Off the Wi-Fi.
Yes, establish organizational culture. We will talk about the organizational culture, but when organizational culture is not so flexible, it is established with the highest standards, it will create a great obstacle in facing with effective leadership. And in accessible research, you are talking about the science of leadership. You are talking about the science of management. It is not old-fashioned management, old-fashioned approach to studying leadership or management. We are talking about the academy. You are paying money. So you should think based upon the research. You should do research about your job, about your community. You should know how to work systematically. Except of that, you are a high school student, not academic, not university student. And after that, you have a high school diploma, so-called bachelor of, for example, science. The name is different, but the content is the same. So thinking about the problems, about the solutions in a systematic approach, so-called science, is very important, very, very important. It is the opposite side of, for example, old-fashioned solutions. Okay. Leadership and management, we talk about the primary conceptual differences between leadership and management. Now we are talking about the little detailed, more detailed differences. Managers focus on present. Leaders focus on future. As Brian Tracy says, leaders are future oriented. Now leaders are not. Because of that always leaders are future oriented, we will talk about the leaders as strategic thinkers. Because strategy is thinking about the future as a long time, as a long road, the final goals. It is strategic. It is highly recommended to study about the strategic thinking. It is highly recommended. It will create a great difference between you and other leaders, other managers, other simple managers. You are young. If you have good tools, if you have good guns, you will be good hunters. So strategic management is one of the greatest guns, weapons in the hand of your mind, in the hand of your proficiency as a future leader or manager. It is very important and also very regular. But sometimes I see that undergraduates doesn't have any good attention to strategic thinking. It is the greatest difference between you and other people, between you and other managers, to have some strategic thinking about the future. As we say, focus on the present, so maintain the status quo. But as we say, focus on the future, create change. Leaders are change creator, and it is related to their typology of personality. If they are dominant, in addition to creating change, they are change agents. But sometimes they are change facilitator. But leaders are facing or confronting with change. They love confrontation with everything, especially in the new areas. Because of that, they are called leaders, and they have followers. And managers implement policy. Leaders initiate policy. I love it. The starting point of every human action is leadership. The starting point. Every human action, every human motivation, every human change. Starting point is leadership for creating change. Leadership is something more than leading or managing an organization. Leadership is a personality. Leadership has a lot of traits. We will talk about it in the other sessions. Maintaining existing culture and structure. It is about present moment, existing moment, status quo, present policies. Create new culture and structure. Remain aloof and objective. Establish emotional bonds with followers. After 20 years from now, you will remember some people in your life, some ordinary people, or you're in your organization, in your academy, and say, I don't know what is the difference between this man or this woman with other teachers, with other managers. But I remind him or her a lot. Why? Because of emotional bond. We have a memory trace. Memory trace, it is because of emotional bond. It is very important. It's like friendship. We have a lot of ordinary friends in higher school, in university, in our community, but some of them, we have some specific experiences. We have some emotional bond with them. I say, wow, I remember him, remember her, and other things and other things and other things. Because of that, it says that leaders have a deep and effective emotional bond with their followers. They don't look at their followers for example, co-workers or employees. They look at them as their child, as their followers, as their people. Leaders love their followers. It can be a leader of a nation. Leaders love their people of nation. For example, as you know, one of the moral leaders of our nation in America is Martin Luther King Jr. When you look at the personality, character of Martin Luther King Jr., you see a lot of love. Even with the white people, a lot of followers of Martin Luther King Jr. were white people. Why? Because of his smart, warm, and lovely personality as a leader. Because of that, we say that there are a lot of, for example, Black leaders in the community of Black people, but some of them are very great. One aspect is because of great idea. Other parts, it is because of great personality. When someone go up and lecture says, I have a dream, it's a very great sentence as a lecturer. Because of that, emotional bonding is the major, important, persistent characteristic of leaders for remain in their mind. And use position power, it is very important. But leaders use personal power. Leadership can be trained. Leadership can be educated. It is good, yes. But finally, leadership is about your personality. But the good news is that you can change and you can create your new character, your new personality. It is not simple, I know. It is not easy, not at all, it is not easy, I know. But it is possible. Change is possible, but it is not easy and it is not simple, but it is possible. It is a great lie, conspiracy theory that we say to people as psychologists and psychotherapists and, for example, industrial psychologists that, no, it is not important, it is not, you cannot change. It is a great lie. You cannot have easy change. Yes, it is true. You cannot have simple changes. Yes, it is true. But you can change? Yes. Why not? Because of that, managers use their positional power, use their organizational power as a manager. Out of the organization, Sometimes they are good, sometimes they are not important. But leadership is about your personality. You use your personal power, personality power, individual power. Okay? Managerial roles are figurehead, leader, liaison, monitor, disseminator, spokesman, entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. And gender differences in roles. I have a question. Do you think that is there any gender differences in leadership roles or not? Don't look at the PowerPoint. Use your brain. There are a lot of false beliefs about the gender roles, gender differences between the manager, for example, male managers and female managers, male leaders and female leaders. It is not about discrimination. It is about the gender differences in brain. It is not about the discrimination. It is not about the sexual harassment. It is not about the sexual attitude to people. It is about the sexual differences in the brain. It's about the personality. How do you think about it? Also, you can look at the PowerPoint to find the answers. Which item is more important in your attitude? Which item is more important? Male managers, unrelenting pace of work. Female managers, calm, steady pace of work. Unrelenting, working and working and working. But female managers have a good schedule for working, loving, and playing. Why not? Male managers do a wide variety of tasks, multidimensional. But female manager, it is frequent breaks. Male manager have frequent interruptions, but female manager didn't perceive interruptions. Male manager little time to communicate, spend little time to communicate. They are so rigid, sometimes also not always. But female manager schedule very specific time for communication. Male managers have few non-work activities. Female managers have many non-work activities. Sometimes, not always. Male managers experience isolation, but female managers are connected to others. And male managers' identity tied to work. It's very important that, for example, we call them with their positional, managerial, or organizational title. But female manager has multifaceted identities. Male managers have complex network. It is very good. Also, female managers have complex networks. As we say in America, your network is your net worth. And male managers prefer face-to-face communication. But again, in female managers, you can find they prefer face-to-face communications. Leaders' role in shaping culture. Role modeling, reward system, hiring decision, and a strategy. Sorry, I should. Yes, a strategy, a structure between leader and organizational culture. We will talk about the concept of organizational culture. But at this stage, you should know that leaders have 4 roles in creating the organizational culture. At first, they are the role model of the organizational culture. Employees, co-workers, staffs mid-level managers, high-level managers should look at the leader. You are the role model. And sometimes it is not good. It is so sadly that you don't want to be leader, but people accept you as their leader. And it is very heavy, unexpected role in your life. Sometimes, for example, in Instagram, in Facebook, in your community, you're a simple, good thinker, simple, good thinker. But other people, yes, we want you lead us. You say, sorry, I love only thinking about the problems. I don't like to be a leader. But they say, we need you as a leader. So after that, you will be role model of your followers. For example, in a cyberspace like Instagram, cyberspace like Facebook, cyberspace like, for example, Twitter. And after that, leaders should create a reward system. Reward system basically is in your brain. We have a reward and punishment system as a neural circuit in your brain. But in human community, human society, human organizations, we should consider the reward system as a system where created our desired culture, which is called organizational culture. Leaders create reward system. And one of the greatest parts, one of the greatest aspects that leaders are very, very important is hiring process and hiring decisions. Not hiring process person by person, person by person. No, hiring decisions. What are the criteria for deciding about who can be hired and who can not be hired? It is hiring decision, not hiring process. And the strategy structure. We talk about it. Strategy is the basic part of leadership. If you don't have any type of a strategy, you are not leader. Why? The timeline of leader is future. The focal point is future. What is the name of what is the title of thinking about the future, with or without planning? Is a strategy thinking. So future in leadership is the same word for strategical thinking. So a strategy structure is one of the greatest and more important aspects of leadership in an organization. And why it is more important than leadership? Some of the researchers show that leadership is not so important. You are exaggerating about the role of leadership. Sometimes the research shows environment is more important than leadership. Internal culture and the structure determine to course organizational takes. Leadership accounts for only 7% to 15% of performance in some studies. We are talking about the different research findings about the efficacy of leadership in organizations. And leaders have little discretion. And leadership is a romantic myth. Wow. But some research shows that better findings about the importance of leadership in organization, community, society, departments, even in families. Leadership is one of many important factors. Yes, it is not unique, but it is important. Leaders provide vision and direction. We will talk about it not in your course, also a little in your course, but generally in other courses, in MBA course and DBA course, DBA program and MBA program. We will talk about 3 words: vision, mission, and strategy. The distance between missions and visions are strategy. It's a triangle of leadership. At first, vision, where do we want to go? Secondly, mission, what is the present state? What goals, what instruments do we need? And third, strategy. How can we use our instruments to achieve the goal? From here to the desired point, it is a strategy. Vision, mission, and a strategy. 3 parts of leadership thinking about every type of leadership. It is not important what you want to lead. your family, your education, your country, your nation, your organization, your business. You should have. It is mandatory. If you don't have vision, you are not leader. Why? Because vision is future. If you don't have future thinking, you are not leader. Why? Because vision is a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you are not leader. At first, it is vision. Secondly, your mission, the behavioral aspect of vision. Vision is conceptual, idealistic, general concept is vision. Detailed concept, very practical concept, very operational concept, very functional concept is about mission. What a way do we go, do we path to achieve our visions? It is called strategy. Leaders are critical in orchestrating change. It is very important. It is very important. In orchestration, for example, when you go to opera, to opera or to a band, to a concert, everybody is playing his or her own instrument, but in harmonization with other instruments, with other players. It is called orchestration, orchestrating, harmonizing. Yes, every player is playing his or her instrument, but in harmonization with other players. It is called music. Is it called voice? If everybody is playing his or her instrument without any harmonization, it is not music, it is noise. Because of that, in orchestration, we say he or she is the leader, orchestration leader. He or she is, with these woods in his hands, he or she is leading, orchestrating the players. It is something like an organization. Leadership can account for close to half of performance in some cases. Half of performance, 50%. And leadership's impact is moderated by situational factors, yes, but moderated, not damage, only moderated. The impact of leadership, one of several key factors in organizational performance. Leaders are essential in providing vision and direction. We talk about it. Leaders' impact differs in different situations, yes, and followers also a key to success. Why? When you don't have good and obedient followers, who and what and how do you want to lead? You are leading your followers. If they are not good obedience, they are not good followers. If they don't have any good obedience of your leading style, yes, who do you want to lead? Yourself? It's a self-leading, self-management. And how do you want to lead them? It is very chaotic, very, very chaotic. So relationship of the power between leaders and followers is a basic and key factor, key character in successful leading. Okay, have a break for 10 minutes. Yes, for 15 minutes. Have a good break for 15 minutes, and 11:30, I will be here again for continuing the course. Bye. Okay, we can start it again. I wish you have a good break. So go to the chapter 2. In chapter 2, we want to talk about the global and cultural context, about the cultural context determinants in leadership style we can use. Defining elements of cultures. Brandon, How do you think about the culture? What is culture? What is your definition?
Culture,
Yeah.
it's like sort of like the way you live, the way everything is. Um, I don't really know how to explain it, to be honest.
Is there anything related to, for example, race or ethnicity or religion or
Yeah,
geographical or policy? Is there anything related to these basic elements of our life with culture or not?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Nicholas, how do you think about the culture? What is culture? What is your definition of culture?
Culture, I think culture, my definition of culture is just something that is practiced over the time or like over the
What is the
years.
first word associated to your mind when you hear the word culture? For example, is Halloween a culture-based ceremony or not? In America, in US. Is it about the culture or not?
I think it is about the culture.
Is Thanksgiving a cultural ceremony or not?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a cultural.
We hear different views. Brandon says yes, and Nicholas says no. Thanksgiving is not a culture. Brandon, do you think it is related to the US culture? For example, Thanksgiving ceremony?
Yeah. Well,
I know the religious roots of Thanksgiving. I know the historical roots. But now you can ask in the street a lot of people about the historical roots of Halloween. And little people knows about the what is Halloween originated from. They know only the Halloween ceremony. Is this part of ceremony is culture based or not? For example,
But Halloween,
for example, Halloween. Halloween is a cultural ceremony or not? It's a national ceremony. What is the origination? What's the origins of Halloween as a cultural ceremony?
I think it is a cultural ceremony.
Mhm.
Think I'll say it and I'll give you my understanding of culture. I think culture can be anything you want it to be and anything you choose to be in terms of what's what what's the majority of people doing at that time, and then therefore it becomes the culture, if that makes sense. In terms of what's a small example I can make? I think culture is not culture is something that can change over years. Whereas
Culture is fixed over the years.
it changes. I think it can change.
It can
It's not
change.
like
Yeah.
it's not that's what, like it's not like religion.
Hmm.
Religion is fixed. Religion will always be what it is. It's not left or right. Culture, for example, can change. In the next 20 years, we can have a different culture.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works. So yeah, that's what I think my definition of culture is. It's
What is the
very
first word associated to your mind when you hear the word culture? What is the first word associated to culture? The first things.
diversity.
And other things. Brandon, what's your first word associated to your mind when you hear culture?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Hmm.
No, there's not really.
I'm sorry, can I chime in?
Yeah, yeah.
When I think of culture, the first thing that I think about is like tradition. Like what you,
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the first thing that comes to my mind because I'm Hispanic, like Mexican, so our culture would be to when you turn 15, you have like this big celebration. Like that's a part of our culture. Like that's what we do. I know that in November we have like Day of the Dead. That's when we celebrate,
Hmm.
the people who have passed on, and that's like part of my culture. So the way I see it is like traditions, your own traditions.
Do you mean
That you can
tradition for the word of ceremonies, values, standards? Tradition is the same. Ceremony, values, standards, rituals,
Yeah.
these are the
Mhm.
ceremonies. So Joy is saying to us that in one country like America with different minorities, with different races, with different ethnicities, we can see at the same time sometimes different cultures, sometimes the same culture. Yes, the basic word everyone is associated to his or her mind when she or he hears the word culture is ceremonies, values, traditions. But as Nicholas says, that yes, culture can change, especially behavioral culture. And now we are talking about behavioral culture in organizations. Defining elements of culture. One, values shaped by group member, share values, not individual values. You can be from different cultural contexts. Mexican cultures, African American cultures, like me, Middle East cultures, or Asian cultures, or white American cultures, European American cultures, and other parts of minorities or majorities in America. But in one organization, when you want to create an organizational culture as a leader, as a manager, you should consider the shared values. The shared values create the culture. Set of norms. These are the critical words. These are the key words for definition of culture. Norms, customs, values, assumptions, guided behavior, group unique. It is the one unique, one group different from other groups. Makes one group different from other groups. Makes a group unique. It's a very specific features characteristic for a group. It is called culture. You see that levels of culture. We have national culture, group culture, and organizational culture. And sometimes, I don't know, we cannot call, yes, we can call it global culture. Some aspects of human being, for example, lie is never good. It is an international, it is a global culture. Or praying God can give you a lot of serenity, a lot of calm, inner calm. It is relatively a international or global culture. But very practically, at the huge level, at the greatest level, at the largest level, we can see culture and nationality. So at first, it's a national culture. Now, Halloween in US is a national culture. It is not important what is the origins of Halloween. If you are Muslim, if you are Christian, if you are Buddhist, if you don't have atheist, also we know that some parts of Halloween is related to traditional cultures or some aspect, for example, Thanksgiving, some aspects of Christianity culture as a religion. But now it is a share value for everybody who is living in America, and outside of America also, in English languages culture and with other languages but living in America. So without considering the origins of culture, origins of traditions, after some time, some cultures will be popular all around the world. For example, like Halloween, a lot of countries doesn't have any relationship with the basic and origins of Halloween, but they have some ceremonies like Halloween at the same day, and with the same name. But it's not their culture, but they have acceptance. They have accepted the culture. It is cultural attack or cultural transition from one culture, one country, one nation, one religion to other country, to other nation, to other religions. It is cultural transaction or cultural transitions. And group culture and organizational culture. One of the basic and very important and very useful, very knowledge based theories about the cultural context is about the Hall's cultural context. We have two groups, we have two categorization of cultural context. High context cultures and low context culture. Very simple, if I want to talk to you is about that. In high context cultures, we have some countries, we have some peoples, we have some groups that they consider a lot of additional meaning for the behaviors. They don't think very simple. They think very complicated and hidden meanings and hidden interpreted and sometimes misunderstanding. This is called high context culture or high context countries or high context group. For example, my country is one of the high context countries. In my country, every aspect of your body language can interpret with a lot of different and sometimes in oppositional position of meaning. Different meanings, sometimes oppositional meanings in only one unique body language movement. America is relatively 50-50. Denmark is very, very, very lower context country. One action, one meaning. One action, one meaning. In Denmark, it is very simple country. It is not good or bad. It is related to the history of the country, history of the group. If like, for example, my country, you have a very long, about more than 2,500 years, it is written history for my country as a Persian history. It has more than 2,500 years written, approved history. Yes, during these long years, long time, they have created a lot of meaning for every action, a lot of meaning. It is related to the literature, yes. It is related to the fond of words in a one country, yes. It is related to the religion, yes. Deep thinkers have high context cultures, but very simple. For example, north of Europe, it is very simple. In a lot of parts of America, also it is not in California. Very simple people, very simple thinking. It is low context. Sometimes it is good, simple thinking becomes rapid thinking. Sometimes it is not good. For example, in political science, lower countries doesn't have good, authoristic, and powerful approach to human life. But in daily life, yes, why not? It is about the high context cultures and low context cultures. Rely on environmental cues and context. In context culture, rely on expressive verbal and written messages. When you are talking about culture, you are talking about the additional factors that help you to understand or misunderstand the message of the behaviors. Subtle cues convey message, subtle cues. Specific and clear words convey message, not subtle cues. Very, very detailed cues in high context has a lot of messages. But here, specific and clear words convey messages. What you are talking, we are listening and hearing. And trust is more important than legal and formal contract. It's very impersonal, very person by person, person to person. Just very tribal, very warm, very supportive and directive, but sometimes very confused relationships. For example, we say doing something by your, for example, head of your tribe, head of your family. In my country, it is something like it. When you have some struggle with other family members, your group members, yes, also there are a lot of legal issues. But at first, you don't go to court. You go to your, for example, father, your grandpa, and other parts of your family, of your society that we have some problems. Why? Because trust is more important than legal and formal contract. But in America, it is not. At first, you go to police and you go to court, say, why? Because formal and legal contest guide action. It is not good, not bad. Sometimes that problem-solving solution is good. For details, it is very good. No, go to court, not to go to police and other parts. Okay, solve it together. Sometimes in huge problems, that culture is not so good. You should have some direct legal laws, legal orders, and court and police and other parts. And in direct communication, it is very important. In my country, body language is more important than verbal language. Much more important. But direct communication and specific instructions. We have a lot of words in my country, in my culture, that we say something and we mean other things. But here in America, it is very direct. Sometimes in my country, it is very beautiful that you have a large and huge meaning for everything. Sometimes it creates some confusion and misunderstanding. It is related to the situation you are using your cultural basis. So it is very important to know that a culture cannot be a good culture or bad culture. It is a culture. Culture is a living being. Culture is living. Because of that, Nicholas said, yes, culture can change. Why not? Because it's a living being. Change is one of the vital signs of a living mind. When you have a living mind, when you have a living spirit, when you have a living character, vital personality, vital soul, one of the greatest vital sign is changeability, flexibility. Why not? It is just the same for the organizations. Small organizations need high context culture. For example, you and your brother and your friend and, for example, 10 person are working together. It is not so simple to go to the court, to go to the police. You should solve your problems within yourself. It needs high context culture. But for great organization, sorry, we cannot create high context culture because a lot of misunderstanding will make the problem so complicated. We need legal issues, we need direct orders, direct expectations, and other things. It is one of the greatest theories about the culture in organizations and in nations. High and low context, you see some countries, Japanese and Swiss Germans. At one extreme, it's Japanese people, Chinese, Koreans, and at the other extreme, you see German, Swiss, German, Scandinavian, as we talk about Denmark, European, North American, and here. Hofstede cultural dimensions, it is another theory about the cultural aspect of organization. He says we have 5 dimensions. We should consider 5 dimensions for the culture. Hofstede's cultural dimension. At first, individualism versus collectivism. 2, power distance. It is very important. 3, uncertainty avoidance. 4, masculinity. And 5, time orientation. These are the different aspects of this theory about the cultural dimension. At first, in individualistic cultures, for example, America has an individualistic culture. Individual is more important than groups, than your neighbor, than your society. Because of that, one of the greatest positivity, greatest power points in America is, for example, freedom of speech. It is very individual, very individual. This is very important in America, that everybody should have a good sense of self. And Constitution is the item so-called pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness is very individual. For every human, for every American citizen, it is a legal issue. The federal government should create items, conditions for every American citizen to be able to pursue of happiness. It is individualistic. Individual is autonomous from the group. Personal goals have priority over group goals. Individual attitudes determine behavior. Relationships are based on exchange. One you, one me, one you, one me. Demand, supply, demand, supply. Others are for and not part of self. One great question, one important question. What are the disadvantages of individualistic cultures? Brandon, how do you think? What are the disadvantages? What are the costs of individualistic culture? Do you accept it completely? You think it is completely good?
No, it's obviously not good. There's disadvantages because you're not sort of sharing the experience with someone else. It's all down to you in a way. I don't know.
Do you think loneliness is one of the greatest costs of individualistic approach to human being?
Yeah, it can be, yeah. I would say so.
Or you have social support, but it is not very intimate social support. You have social support, yes.
Yeah.
But sense of intimacy is very short, very low in individualistic cultures. Nicholas, do you have anything to say about the advantages, not disadvantages of individualistic cultures like America?
Advantages.
As a young man, do you have any problem with this culture as an individualistic approach to human life? Especially that part, in personal goals have priority over group goals. Individual is autonomous from the group. Very cell, very unique cell, not an organ. It is very unique cell. Cell together will create organ. Organ together will create body. Body together will create society. When you're talking about individualistic cultures, you are talking about the unique cells, the major and primary elements of creating every human communities. Think about it, and let's go to the other parts. In collectivistic cultures, you will have some new approaches to compare these two cultures. In collectivistic cultures, individual is dependent on in-group. In individualistic cultures, your identity is your identity. It's separated from your group identity. In individualistic cultures, your identity is related to your family, to your group, in-group. Group goals have priority over individual goals. One for all for one. Group goals have priority over individual goals. One for all for one. Social norms determine behavior. We say individual attitudes determine behavior. Social norms. Relationships are based on communal terms. Relationships are based on exchange. Please pay attention to the words. Words are very important. Words create and shape your mind, your thinking. Please pay attention to the words. Relationships are based on exchange. Relationships are based on communal terms, communication. In-group members are close. Others are far and not part of self. Individual is autonomous from the group. Individual is dependent on in-group. Vertical emphasis on hierarchy and horizontal emphasis on equality. These are two other important differences between individualistic or individualism approach or collectivistic or collectivism approach to culture. In vertical culture, we have a hierarchy. Who is the lower part, second part, third part, and peak point, who is on the top of the hierarchy. For example, in organization, we know that we have hierarchy of authority. In the lowest parts, we have simple workers, a lot of simple workers. Amounts are high, sense of importance is low. You go up, go up, go up, soaring high, soaring high, soaring high. At the toppest level, amount is very, very low. You have only one general manager, but sense of importance and importance for organization is very high. More important, less amount. More important, less amount. Simple workers, a high amount, but less important. General manager, very, very, very important, but one amount, only one person. It is vertical emphasis on hierarchies, a vertical approach to culture. But in horizontal approach, we have emphasis on equality. Everybody is equal to other persons. We see horizontal approach in collectivistic. Everybody is other people. But in vertical, in individualistic approach to human culture, we say vertical approach. We have hierarchy. We are not the same. And vertical collectivistic and horizontal, we talk about it, and we are in HI. From Penar's cross-cultural organizational cultures. When we are talking about cross-cultural, we are talking about the general aspects of human life. For example, in psychology, we have two parts, cultural psychology and cross-cultural psychology. Cross-cultural psychology is the study of general, global, overall aspects of human mind. For example, your brain. The structure of your brain structure is the same in the Africa, Asia, America, and other parts. About a minimum or maximum range of size of your brain is not so different. The same limitation of the size. It is cross-cultural. It is not related to your culture. But the content of the brain is different. It is culture-based. If you live in America, other cultures. If you live in Iran, other culture. If you live in, for example, Africa, other cultures. The content and the cultures of the brain is different. We have cultural brain, we have political brain, we have emotional brain, we have the spiritual brain, we have learning brain. We have different parts and different types of brain in only one brain. Yes, these differentiation is different between other countries, other cultures. But the structure is the same. It is cross-cultural. And global dimension, power distance, degree to which power is distributed equally. It is power distance. And uncertainty avoidance, extent of reliance on norms and rules. Human orientation, degree to which fairness and kindness are valued. It is very important. Human orientation, after World War II, human orientation has become one of the greatest, one of the most serious dimensions of every human action in global actions. Human orientation, degree to which fairness and kindness are valued. Collectivism institutional, degree to which collective action and distribution of resources is valued. And in-group, degree to which individuals are close to their family or organization. Assertiveness. One thing I should talk about it with you is the difference between assertiveness and aggression. What is the difference between aggression and assertiveness? Do you think, is there any difference between aggression and assertiveness or not? They are the same. What is the goal of aggression? Why we are aggressive? Or what is the goal of assertiveness? Why we are assertive?
To be direct.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like aggression is more.
More what?
I think
Like,
aggression has come. Oh, you can carry on.
Joey, what? More what?
like hurtful.
Mm-hmm. Is harming to self or others the major part of aggression?
Yes.
Or what is the major part of assertiveness?
To be
Courageous.
like direct.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There is
like
no meaning of harming, no intention of harming in assertiveness. You only want to say your rights, to gain your rights. You are assertive. You don't want to harm anybody. This is the major difference between assertiveness and aggression. Anger has two outcomes. When you feel hopeless and helpless, after that, you will feel anger. Anger has two outcomes: assertiveness and aggression. Assertiveness is the behavior whose intention is only gaining your rights, going to your right position. You have no intention to harming yourself or other people in assertiveness. But in aggression, your major intention is harming yourself or others. If you want to harming yourself, it is said suicidal ideation or suicidal attempt or suicidal planning. If you want to harming other people in aggression, it is called active aggression. Active aggression is the same violence. And some other parts of aggression is passive aggression. You want to harm other people without any violence. For example, gossip or character assassination is some types of passive aggression. In character assassination, in gossip, you say a lot of bad things and lying about other people's when they are not in front of you, they are not facing them. You harm, you will kill their personality, social credit, but without any violence, any active violence, any apparent violence. It is called passive aggression, which is very popular, very popular. You see a lot of aggression in the phrase of passive aggression, not active aggression. Active aggression is violence. Okay? So assertiveness, the degree of directness and confrontation. Extent of gender differentiation. Future orientation, extent of investment in the future rather than the past or present. We see the dimension of culture. And performance orientation, degree to which performance is valued. The last thing I want to talk about it with you in the last minutes is about the peak performance. Please read and study about this phrase in business, in management, peak performance and performance coaching, high performance or full performance, human full performance coaching. It is very important for you to know about it and use it in your daily life and use your daily managerial procedures, because it is based upon the strengths and values and abilities, hidden abilities. The strengths are hidden abilities, potentials in yourself at first, and after that, in your co-workers, in your personal, in your organizational co-workers. So performance orientation is very important. Now it is very important. For example, please go to Stanford University and check the executive coaching course in Stanford University. See the syllabus of executive coaching course in the Stanford Business School, which is one of the greatest and validated courses all around the world about executive coaching. Coaching for organizations. It is something different from to be a manager, to be a leader. You can be leader and you should have leader coaching. Coaching is something different from being. It is about becoming. It is better, getting better and better and better. So go to the Stanford Business School, Business Academy of Stanford University, and read and study the syllabus, the items of the course of executive coaching. The greatest focus is on performance coaching, high performance coaching. Also, high performance coaching is a word given from sport, I know. The coaching major is given from sport, but now coaching is something different in all aspects of your life. Life coaching, executive coaching, business coaching, sales coaching, spiritual coaching, and other parts. Health coaching, more important than everything. Well-being coaching, it is very important and very good market. Very, very good market. Any question? So you have 15 minutes time to take your week 1 quiz. All questions are from your PowerPoints, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Please don't postpone your learning engagement. Your initial post should be very, very soon. I know your class is today. I know it is Wednesday, but the due date for initial post is Wednesday night. After that, for each day, 10% will reduce. So post your initial post just after the class. Read the material, read the question, and after that. See you next week.